Thank you all very much. I appreciate you coming out today. And let me grab my water here. Thanks. Oh.
You hear me better?
Good.
Good, better. Thank you very much, Shajuan. So, Shajuan is my little sister now because her parents gave me my Chinese name. So we truly have become family friends. She and Gao Chen, I think the other young man, a couple of students of mine that came to my training program have done very well with some companies, and I've been so proud to watch her grow her business. And I think I've been introduced by a lot of people as I've traveled around as a motivational speaker around the world and over 50 countries, but I think that this is the person that I've enjoyed the most to introduce me, and I've always felt like family with her, so thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it. Well, wait, John, get in. Very, very little. So I'm going to give my speech in English. So go ahead and start out here. There we go. That looks familiar. So I want to talk about how your brain can be your best business partner. I have an interesting type of a background, so I'm combining different things to help you with your business. I'll tell you a little bit about my experience and explain why I think a little bit differently maybe than some people. First of all, I forgot to create this group before I did that. I'm going to create a group right now on WeChat, a little group. If you want to ask me some questions later or something like that, then you can just go ahead and jump in here to this private group, 8888, blah, 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 blah. For those of you, there you go. You can join in there if you have any questions for me, or if you guys want to share some pictures with each other or thoughts with each other, you'll be able to do that in the group here. But first of all, you always wonder, who's the person up there speaking? Why should I listen to them? Is it okay to just fall asleep because I'm not going to learn anything? Or is there something good to get? Well, these are some of the questions that I usually ask. Where are you from? What's your work experience? How old are you? Do you have a family? All that kind of stuff. Why did you move to China? You know, my mother is in her 70s now. She's, you know, like every one of my friends is afraid. Are you safe in China? You know, you guys get these questions, right? You see, I'm your mother. You have to tell me the truth. Are you safe in China? Absolutely. Why should you listen to me? And why am I so fat? Those are the questions I usually get. So I'll answer all those questions for you as we roll along here. I'm from California, Southern California, where the weather is always beautiful, just like Chum. Every once in a while. It's warm in the winter, and warm in the summer, warm in the autumn, and warm in the spring in California. If you want the beach, you go to the beach. If you want some snow, you drive up the mountains. I took my kids one day to the beach in the morning. It was wonderful. And that evening, we drove up the mountains and went to the snow. Just about an hour drive. So everything is there. So people ask me all the time, why did you leave there? So I'll answer all these things for you. Some of my experience is I have had, I'd say, a little bit of business experience. I started my first business when I was just 9 years old, and have always owned a business ever since then. Either a bigger business or a small one just for tax purposes. All the way through my career in the Air Force. I was in computer technology in the Air Force, cross-trained later into the medical field. I worked in surgery as an assistant for 15 years. So I have a vast background, and I have become an international motivational speaker. And I've learned a lot as I've been coaching other business owners and speakers on how to overcome things like being afraid of speaking, or being afraid to grow a business, and how do I talk to my employees? How do I talk to my business partners? So I became a lot more involved in relationships and communication. In that process, I kind of accidentally became a clinical hypnotherapist and a practitioner, certified practitioner of neuro-linguistics. So I understand how we communicate through body language, through voice inflection, how just our minds will connect with each other, and most important, how do we communicate with our own mind? A lot of times we think we are the slave of our mind, of our thoughts. So when we really understand that we can control our own thinking and create an easier path for our thoughts, then we can become more successful. And I'm going to share a lot of that with you today. This is normally some stuff I teach in a 3-day training program, which Shajman went to, and Ivy also, who first opened up our session today, has been to in California. So they told me I have to cut it down to 10 hours, right? I have 10 hours today. No, I have until 5:15. So I'm going to give you as much information as I can from that 3 days of training. This was me when I was 9 years old. That's me in the middle. To the right is my brother. And our next door neighbor, we started a little business. We started a neighborhood ecology club. So the neighbors gave us all their newspapers and glass bottles to recycle. And in exchange, we kept the neighborhood clean and looking nice. And we wore little uniforms. We had weekly meetings with some cookies and punch. And it was my first little business that I opened up. Ever since then, I've owned a business. Some I've grown to multi-million dollars. Others I've crashed to the ground. Those are the ones you learn the most from, too. But this was my start. Local newspaper did a little article. I asked my mom actually a year or so ago. I said, "Did you go over there and push to get that article written?" And she said, "No, one of our neighbors just told somebody, and the newspaper came out and did our little interview." I did serve in the United States Air Force, and they gave me the training in computer technology and in surgery and medicine. So I understand a lot, not only how our mind works through neurolinguistics and clinical hypnotherapy, but actually I taught in medical schools too. And at one time, I knew the name of every bone and muscle and organ and everything in the body. A few of those things have maybe been lost. But I understand how our body really works chemically, electrically, through the power that we have over our own thoughts. I have been a speaker, a TEDx speaker. I spoke on a simple little subject on how to change the world a few years ago, and I really enjoyed some great opportunities that have come because of doing that as well. I hosted a television show. Here I am getting some makeup put on. Everybody loves those, right? The guys getting makeup. I most recently have given some talks. This was here in Hunan. There are many large machine manufacturers that, because of the virus, they can't bring their customers here to buy their multi-million-dollar equipment. So they're trying to figure out how to do business online. So Alibaba in conjunction with some other companies are trying to help train them. So they brought me in to help give them some ideas of how to do business online, how to communicate through video, because that's the new thing to do nowadays because of the virus. So even big companies are having to be innovative now. They've already built their company, but their system of bringing everybody to lunch and having fun and laughing together, it can't happen now because their customers can't come here. So they have to find new ways. So I've been utilized to do a lot of communication with other people and teach people how to be successful. I mentioned the things that I've done in life. I've learned a lot about the relationships we have with others, but that relationship we have with ourselves is really the most important, and with our own brain. So I'm 57 years old, Wusha Chi for those who don't speak English yet, but I have 6 children. I lost my wife a few years ago, and my children are all grown adults. I have 10 grandchildren now. And my kids, I think they still love me, but they don't need me anymore. They have their own lives. They live in their own houses and running their families. They actually felt kind of guilty, driving by Grandpa's house because they're going to school or work and couldn't see me all the time. And when I first came here on a speaking tour, I really fell in love with the country, with the values, with the people, even the spicy food. I eat some hot Mexican food. I've even had some. I think of all the places I've been around the world, Nigerian food is really, really spicy. And that I can handle a little bit. But I really enjoy it, and I decided to stay here. This was, Shazuen mentioned the YES Place. This stands for Young Entrepreneur Success Place. I like to say that I semi-retired a little bit at one time in my life and started really helping young people start their businesses. I won some awards here in the country, and I was featured. I was the first non-Chinese person on the cover of Chinese magazine. It's a 40-year-old magazine. Talked about the connection that I've made with China over the years of helping young people grow businesses here. So I really have felt like part of China. So why Changsha is the other question that I'll answer for you. The government here has worked to send students to my training program from Hunan. So a lot of people were from this area. I've done some work with some of the centers like this in Guangzhou. There's a big area down there in Xi'an. In fact, I wanted to move to Xi'an when I first decided to move to China, but Judge Wen said, "Oh no, you have to come to Changsha." A lot of the students that in training with me will call me Dad, and they're like, "Dad, you got to move over here," So that's how I wound up here, because I had a lot of friends already here. And life's all about relationships. It really is. So that's how I wound up here. And I've enjoyed it, as you can see here, very much. Why am I so fat? That was the last question, right? While I was still in America, I lost 80 pounds, which is 36 kilograms. Excuse me, I didn't lose it, I released it. When you lose something, this is the first tip I'm giving you about your mind. If you lose your cell phone, what's your subconscious mind tell you? Find that thing right now, right? Or who stole it? We've got to find that thing. If we lose something, our mind makes us want to find it. So I changed my thinking, and I released weight. Started doing yoga, other things. You can see some of my old pictures here. I use it not so much just to joke about my weight, but to let you know that things are possible in life. I was a lot bigger. I had to change my thinking about the way I did things. And part of that is changing the words and the labels we give ourselves. If I had kept the label, I'm an emotional eater, I am then it's hard to change that, because we think that's our name. We think that describes us. So, these are the things that I'm covering for you today. And we'll stop at 5:15 today, so we're going over a lot of things. First of all, what is the mind? How does our mind work? What's the anatomy of a successful brain? What are some of the differences in thinking between entrepreneurs in China and America? How does the subconscious mind think and remember things? How can we do things? I'm going to cover that. Our subconscious mind does a lot of stuff. When you were a kid and learned how to tie your shoe, you had to use your conscious mind, right? Okay, let's see. One loop goes through this one and goes under the log and over the. You learn consciously how to tie your shoe. Now, just do it. You don't think about it. When you get dressed in the morning, maybe you put on both socks first, and then you put on the shoes, or maybe you put on one sock and a shoe. You've got a pattern. You've got something you do. Even driving. If you have a driver's license, you're driving down the road, you go, oh, I missed my exit. Guess what? Your subconscious mind was driving you. You let it drive the car. Why not let your subconscious mind drive your success, drive your business? So I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to make success a little easier by giving tasks to your subconscious mind that handles a lot of stuff without having to think and worry about it. Okay? So this is what we're going to go through. I'll talk about the different environments that I've seen in China and America and here in the Hunan province too. We'll talk about the creativity and how to get in the zone. You know, sometimes you're just like really learning stuff. Like, wow, I'm loving this. Other times you're like, whoa. You can have the best information coming at you, but if you're not ready for it, you're not going to get it. How do you get in the zone? I'm going to teach you how to do that today. Following your passion, there's a lot more to that in setting the goals of what kind of business you want to select, and how to weigh everything against your own core values in life. And how do you get started and take into action? These are the things that we're going to cover. First of all, let me explain how your mind works. Your conscious mind is like the guard at the gate. Let me see your ID. Before it gets into the subconscious, it goes into the memory, it checks. Do I know anything about this? Have I heard anything different? Will I allow this thought in? Let me give you an example. My name is Fred, and I work at NASA. And did you know that jet fuel is made with the shells of peanuts? The shells of peanuts are crushed up, burned, and the ashes are put into the jet fuel to make it light on fire quicker. Your conscious mind just went, I don't have anything against that. I don't know anything about jet fuel. Maybe somebody in here does, but if you don't, you let that information in. Fred works at NASA. I got nothing that hold it back. Okay, let it in. A year later, you meet a guy. Hey, I'm Bob. I am a rocket scientist at NASA. And did you know that when they make jet fuel, they take almonds and they mix almonds with some oil of coconut. They dry it and they put it in jet fuel and it makes it ignite. And you go, no. It's peanut shells, right? Because that's already in your subconscious mind. You already let that in. So now the guard says, no. And you say, no, it's peanut shells. I know this one. And now Bob said, oh, you met Fred, the janitor from NASA. Yeah, he tells everybody that all the time. So now you go, whoa, yeah, he didn't tell me what his job was. He just told me he worked at NASA, and I believed him. So your conscious mind acts as that guard. If it's got nothing against it, it allows the information in. Or if it thinks it's safe, it allows the information in. So we're going to talk about how that process works in our mind and how do we use it to help us. So I mentioned that it's the gatekeeper. Your conscious mind is the gatekeeper. Your subconscious mind is the same thing that lets you tie your shoes without thinking, drive the car without thinking, maybe even when you take a shower, maybe you always wash your hair first, or you wash your left side first, and then your right side. You've got a system you follow. Whatever that is, that's your subconscious mind making those decisions. You don't walk into the shower and go, let's see, I think my right arm is dirtier. I will wash it first. No. You just do it. So you want success to come in your business by just doing it. Training yourself to let your subconscious mind have these tasks to do. So it's good for you to know that how your subconscious mind communicates, how it remembers things. We're all, as foreigners here in China, they speak Chinese, right? Mandarin, yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Okay? So if we want to communicate with them, we need to speak their language. Your subconscious mind speaks a different language than your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind thinks in pictures. It remembers things in pictures. Either a still picture or a moving picture, like a little video. That's how your subconscious mind remembers things. That's why sometimes you can say, I know your face, but I'm trying to remember your name. Okay? Because the subconscious will remember the picture. So, let me prove it to you. I want you right now to think about what you're thinking about right now while you're thinking about what I'm going to tell you. Think about what you're thinking about right now while you're thinking about what I'm going to tell you. Dog. Elephant. Did you think of the letters D, O, G? Or did you picture, right? Some little dog. If you have one or know one, that's the dog you probably thought of. Or maybe a cartoon character. Did you quickly think of E-L-E-P-H-A-N-T? Or did you think of the big gray animal with the big nose, right? You think pictures. That's how our subconscious mind thinks and remembers things, is in pictures. This is really important for you to know because this is how you can communicate better with your subconscious mind. Now, I use the word subconscious or unconscious the same. It just means that part of your mind that actually does most of the work for you. It even breathes for you. Right? You don't have to consciously think about it. You don't get up in the morning and go, oh, I forgot to breathe. Oh, I forgot to beat my heart. No, it just happens. The last thing is that the mind, the subconscious mind doesn't really get negatives. Can't, won't, shouldn't, never will. Those negative words it doesn't understand because there's no picture for it. Let's do an experiment with that so that you understand it better. I don't want to just tell you this. I want you to see that it really works. So, because the mind doesn't understand the don'ts, won'ts, can'ts, shouldn'ts, I want you to please do what I asked you to do. I want you to don't. Under any circumstance, don't. You should not, and I don't want you to don't think of a red car. I see a lot of smiles. I know you thought of one. And maybe you thought of one and you changed it to a truck real quick or changed the color. But you're thinking of a car anyway, right? Something. Because you hear the word that has the picture first, and then the don't comes into place. So this is a whole new thing about positive thinking. What's the positive? What's the picture that you can put in your brain? So if you say things to yourself like, I can't fail that test tomorrow. Your subconscious mind hears, fail that test tomorrow. Little kid, this will help you. Any of you parents in here yet? I'm going to give you some parenting tips. Anybody have children? Have you know people who have children? You've seen children? They're like adults, but they're smaller. Yeah, okay, you've seen children before. Very good, okay. Children do stuff. I know you've got some kids. You guys that have kids, this will help you. Kids will do things like they'll come in and they'll jump on the couch. Don't jump on the couch. How many times do I have to tell you, don't jump on the couch? Don't touch the hot stove. Don't put your feet on the furniture. Don't play in the street. What's the kid's mind here? Jump on the couch, touch the hot stove, put my feet on the furniture, play in the street. Oh, don't. That's right. I forgot that word. Because don't doesn't have a picture. So we often tell ourselves what we shouldn't do. Oh, I don't want to go up there and speak in front of the crowd and look like an idiot. What did my subconscious mind just hear? Go up there and look like an idiot in front of the crowd. So you've got to get rid of those words and instead tell yourself what you will do. Use the positive things that have a picture. So positive thinking doesn't mean you just go, I'm so great, I'm so handsome, I'm so successful. We'll talk about positive thinking. I believe that we should say positive things to ourselves, but they've got to be genuine and they need to be pictures. Okay, so here's some of the differences I've seen in thinking in America and in China. The biggest difference, I give a lot of credit to Chinese thinking because I see Chinese thinkers will find a need, number 4, to make improvements on something. Americans don't do this as much. You see something, you go, oh, I can do that. In fact, I can change it a little bit and make this better. This is, I think, where the real successes come from in China. And it's an amazing, amazing thing that sometimes American business people will start a new business and instead of trying to improve it, it might fail. They were innovative at the beginning, but they didn't keep the change going. So this is more Chinese thinking. With American thinking in business, there's a lot more willingness to fail, to take risk. You know, Elon Musk, when he sold PayPal, he used like billions of dollars and put it into Tesla. He put all of his money, so much money in that he had to borrow money from his friends to live in his apartment. Billions, he invested the whole thing. He went in, both feet, and didn't have, I gotta have money to live. So he had to borrow money from somebody to live. More willing to take risk. In China, I noticed that some of the students that have come in and had training with me in California too, they want a checklist. Give me a checklist. What do I have to do? And I think around the world, a lot of people want this. Give me a checklist that says these are the things that you have to do to be a successful entrepreneur. Because I don't want to bring shame to my family. I don't want to tell my friends, I told you that wouldn't work, see, and you failed. You don't want those things to happen. So give me that checklist, I'll follow everything, and I'll be perfect with it, and I'll be successful. I said, okay, I'll give you a checklist. But one of the items on the checklist is, you're probably going to fail. Because you learn so much when you fail. You regroup, and you get better with it. So this is the one thing that I think is a big difference between the two ways of thinking in entrepreneurship. So I'll tell you some of my thoughts about China that I have learned with entrepreneurship. First of all, when I came here in April of 2018, I was supposed to stay for 2 weeks, but I wound up staying for 3. I extended, and I spoke in all different companies and stuff around let's see, we went Beijing, Xi'an, Zhuhai, Hong Kong, Macau, Guangzhou, and Changsha. And I noticed a lot of different ways of doing things. And I noticed that Shenzhen, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Beijing, I've done some visits in all those areas. And a lot of it is the same in those areas. There are some big conglomerate processes that a new business can kind of walk through that will help them to grow their companies. And there's systems that are in place. I noticed in Guangzhou, there's a name for this area, and I forget the name of the area because it's in Chinese and I don't know a lot of Chinese yet. But in kind of the northwest area of Guangzhou, there's an area that, like the top 300 tech companies in the world all have headquarters in that area. They call it the Silicon Valley of China. And there are some business incubators that are there that help small businesses start up in Guangzhou, and I've done some work with them there. In Xi'an, I've got a friend who owns a steel company, and they provide a lot of steel for the big businesses around here, and they're looking at putting an entrepreneurship training program in a school that they want to build in the future. Here in Hunan, in Changsha and in Hunan province, I've noticed, number one is that it's different in the fact that it's not it's a lot more friendly. It's down to earth. Changsha as a city as a whole is much more people-oriented. I feel much more comfortable here. As you all know, as foreigners here too, there's not a lot of foreigners in Changsha. So there's a great opportunity to make friends with the people here. And I've noticed that Changsha is a lot more people-oriented, more down to earth. I personally experienced the government sending students out from Hunan to do some training in California, where I was at. Not only did we do training at Yes Place, but the first year, was it your year I went up north too? No, maybe the next year I went with them on the whole trip. And they went up and toured the Google offices, all this other stuff too. And I think that the involvement from the government is really an important part of why the success is happening here in this area. I mentioned earlier that I've done some talk with Alibaba and some of the large equipment companies, and I see the efforts that are made, like with Xiaojuan. I remember a picture I took with your face on a board at your old school, and the recognition that they give to new businesses that are being built here. And I think it's a very friendly way and a very friendly place to grow a business. It's a city that's growing. It's the capital city here in Changsha, but it doesn't act like a big city. Some of those other cities, I think I'm in America. You know, it just the look, the feel, it's lost kind of its tradition. I really like that Changsha is still got a mixture. In fact, I'm going to tell you, I remember going out to dinner one time with some friends, and I saw an old lady in some more traditional Chinese clothing walking to her apartment building, and it was an old building. And we were walking along for dinner, and I expected, the picture I got in my head was she's going to pull out an old rusty key and open that old door. This is what I thought. It just looked old. But instead, she pulled out her keys, and there's a little round fob. Boop, boop, boop. And she went in. And I thought, this to me describes China. That new technologies are integrated into the traditions and the old buildings. It's a marriage of technology and new stuff with old stuff. In America, we want to build a new technologically fit building. Okay, let's tear down this old one and we'll put up a new one. So I like the innovation in China. In fact, when I first moved here, a lot of my friends that knew I worked with entrepreneurs a lot in America said, "Are you finding any entrepreneurs in China?" I said, "If you walk down the street, everybody owns a business selling some fruit or snacks or something, right?" And there's so much entrepreneurship that goes on in China. And I really feel that there is a lot of room for growth here in Changsha to see businesses grow here. Because it's still a traditional city that's growing in its popularity and newness and technology. I know President Xi just came down this last year and toured some of the tech area. I went riding around I got one of the little electric motorcycles and went looking around at some of those buildings over there. There's a lot of growth that's happening here in Changsha. I really, really love being here. So these are some of the things that I've noticed about the growth of business in this area. Now, I want to explain the importance of being creative. I'm going to go more back to the mind. I'm going into the creativeness of a business. And then after that, I'll go back to the mind again and how we get control over it. One of the things of being creative, let me see how much time we have here to do this. I think that I can show you guys this process. Can I borrow this table? And I want to get 3 volunteers. And can I borrow 3 chairs also? Is that all right? I just got rid of your chairs right off that. We get 3 volunteers to come up here. Wow, I got like 10. This is the way to go. Okay, let's see. I think the first 2, let me get the 2 of you. I think you raised your hand real quick, and then in the back here too. Come on up. Let's give them a hand, by the way. Go ahead and have a seat. Now, you guys are welcome to, if you want to come up here and look over their shoulders, you can. If not, I'm going to point out a little bit about what they're doing up here on the screen too. Go ahead and open the box up. I'm going to show you how to do this. This is a little game from America. I actually couldn't find it on Taobao or anywhere. I got 3 of them stuck in my suitcase when I first moved here, and I'd love to get a hold of some more. This is just one way of being creative with your thinking. When you start to come up with an idea for a business, there are, let me get you guys started. Take 6 cards each, and then you can look at it. And then I'll explain to you how it's going to be played in a minute. So I'll just keep you guys on hold. Just 6 cards, you're welcome to look at it. When you think of a business idea, there is a money, and you've probably heard this before, and you're like, yeah, I don't believe it. You gotta follow your passion. You've heard it, and you're thinking, yeah, right, whatever. I'm following the money. I'm gonna follow the money. The problem is, if you're not passionate about whatever it is that's gonna make money, you will run into some roadblocks when you build your company. Now, you probably never had any roadblocks, no problem. Yeah. Okay, all right, I'm getting that look. Yeah, maybe she did too. Right? So those roadblocks, if you're not passionate about making it work, the roadblocks may block you. Instead of trying to break through them, go over them, under them, around them, blow them up, whatever you've got to do to get through it. So using your creativity to move forward with something new and something you're passionate about is what's really important. Rather than just saying, wow, look at Jim. He's making a lot of money selling sausages. I like sausage. I want to make a lot of money. But if you're not passionate about it and you try to follow them, you may fail. So you gotta be creative in finding a problem. As Shajwen brought up, I'm not going to go over that. That was called mind mapping, where we had them draw the pictures or the circles and figure out what they want to do, the type of business they want to do. But it's truly important that you find a problem that needs to be fixed. That's a great idea for a business, especially if it's in an area of something that you like, something you're passionate about. So we're going to create an opportunity for them to come up with some ideas. There's some cards here. So I'm going to let you be the person that they're going to sell to. Okay? They're going to sell an item. And so you can put your 6 cards down. Just set them down. You don't need them. You're going to pull one of these and look at, oops, that's the wrong card here. Here's one. Okay. So you can choose which of those you are. So she's a person who is going to be in need of some kind of product. There's a choice you can make on either side of the card. Which one do you want to be? What are those? What's it say? She's a high school dropout, or what's on the other side? A pro wrestler. Okay, which one do you want to be? Oh, she's going to be a pro wrestler. Okay? So any of you guys trying to date her or something, be careful, if she wants to be a pro wrestler. Okay? All right? I'm just giving them a warning. Now what you guys do is you take your 6 cards and you open them, look at them. Now I'm going to just borrow yours and pretend they're mine. And you're going to find 2 cards, and you're going to create some new kind of product. So in mine, I have the words. This is the job that she chose, pro wrestler. And the next cards are. Oops. Where is it? Oh, that picture, other picture didn't come out. Okay. So there are words on these cards, and I'm going to have to put 2 words together to create some kind of a product that a pro wrestler may like. Okay? So in mine I have broom, fan, giggle, time, bowl, and junk. Okay, so I'm going to choose, for a pro wrestler, I'm going to choose fan and giggle. Okay? And you guys are going to do this in a minute with yours. You could start looking at them and seeing what things you have. You're going to put two together. Now, I'm not going to sell her two different things. I'm not going to sell her a fan and a giggle. Okay? But I'm going to combine these words and I'm going to say, okay, you're a pro wrestler. I want to sell you a fan that when the air is turned on your opponent, they will start to giggle. And you can take them down. Because they're just playing around. They start giggling, okay? So this is what I'm going to try to sell her. And I'm going to try to convince her that this is what she needs, okay? Now this is a game you can play with many more than two people. I just want to show you, you're creating something. If you know what your customer needs, if you know who your customer is, then you should be able to come up with something to sell them, okay? All right. Did you guys decide yet what two cards you wanted to do? Got you. You want to try to sell her? Yeah. I'm putting you on the spot. Does that feel good? All right. You tell her what the product is. You combine those two and make it could be something that's magical. It doesn't have to be something real. It's just for the creativity. Okay. So you tell her what your product is, and then you pick two. And then you're going to tell her what product you have, and then you will choose which one you think you want. Okay? After they tell you what their products are, you choose which one you want. Okay? All right. You go ahead and tell her what your product is. Okay? So you need to put those together to make one product. Okay, tell her how she can use that.
For the pro wrestler, when you're in here, you have to raise your flag. It has to be okay. People don't shake, and it has to be a good hammer to hit you.
Okay, so the flag becomes a hammer.
No,
you can't sell two separate things. You have to see. This is where your creativity comes in. So you got to combine them somehow. Okay? So you want me to help you a little bit? No, keep those two. That's all right. Some pro wrestlers come out and they're wearing their flag. They're proud of their country, right? Okay? So maybe when they whip that off, they can use it like a hammer. It becomes a hammer. It's really strong, and you can use it to take down your opponent. Does that sound okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so her product is a flag that will become a hammer. Okay? All right, you got your two? Robot oven, okay? So why does a pro wrestler need a robot oven?
I think this is good for the car.
Say again?
I think this is good for car repair and service.
Okay, all right. So why does she want that instead of a flag hammer? Why would she want your product over that product?
This is important for her, I think.
Why?
This is technological product and useful product. That's why I think you take from that one.
You got to make one product out of those two words. That's where the creativity comes from. You see what's happening? I'm not picking on you guys. I'm saying this is normal. You think, okay, there's just two things. No, you got to make them one. Make them one. So maybe can I help you too, like I helped her? Let's use our creativity. It's a robot that'll stand ringside and cook something for you because you're going to need some food. You're going to need some strength. You're a pro wrestler. So it's a robot that's got an oven in it, and it's got some food ready for you. How's that sound? Is that okay? Is that what you meant? Okay. All right. So now you've got two potential things that will help you as a pro wrestler. Which one do you want?
I think
Okay, you got the oven robot. Okay, all right, hey, congratulations, good job, good job. So when this game is played, thanks, you guys can turn back to your seat. Thank you. We're gonna put these cards right in here. Okay, let's give them a big hand, they were a big sport to do that. Thank you very much. I'm done with the table.
You got that Roman.
So this is just one idea of getting creative with your thinking. And it also helps you realize that if you know your customer, then you know what they might need. Okay? Know who you want to do business with. If you want to do business with, you want to sell skateboards, you might not want to market to nursing homes. There'll be a lot of injuries with old people from nursing homes riding skateboards, right? So you need to know your target market. Know what groups they belong to on social media. What do skateboarders look at online? What other things do? What kind of clothes do they buy? What kind of food do they eat? Who do they chat with? What age group is your potential customer? So games like this are creative ways for you to be thinking, how do we come up with something that this person needs? Okay? Using your creativity. You can also use your creativity